And the title of her speech, it's Never Too Late to Bloom. Many people get mired down in doing the things of their lives and never find time to pursue their own dreams and passions. This is one woman's story of just that. Jeannette Gator, it's never too late to bloom.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Take a look at this beautiful flower arrangement. The flowers in this arrangement did not start their lives looking like this. They start out as almost tiny, almost invisible seeds. Seeds need water, sunlight, and good nutrition. And with those things, they become these beautiful carnations with a smell like heaven on earth. When seeds are planted in the dark with no light or warmth, there will be no lovely carnation and no heavenly scent. People's lives are like this too. Imagine your life in darkness, never having the warmth of the sun to kiss your face. While you think on this, I'm going to share with you a part of my story in hopes that I can encourage you to step into that warm, delightful sunlight and allow yourself to bloom. My seed was planted in the ground in 1958. It had a rocky start. My mother struggled with mental illness my entire life. At the tender age of 8, I found myself outside the bathroom door in a crying puddle. Little did I know that as I begged my mother to come out of the bathroom and not kill herself, that I was selling my soul to my mother. I promised that I would do anything to keep her happy. That was a tall order for an 8-year-old. I spent the next 10 years mother tending. My life became about securing hers. During those years, my seed would get warmth and sunlight at school and would live and be immersed in cold and darkness around my mother. My seed was seriously confused. Better not to bloom and then die off. So it just lay dormant and invisible under the ground. At age 18, I went to college and I left my mother tending behind. Amazingly, my seed finally began to grow. I became more visible and I began to figure out what I liked, and I committed my life to God. I had leaves and a stem, and I was on my way to blooming. I was living my life and having joy for the first time since I was 8. During this time, I had met this larger than life kind of guy who I married in 1981. I knew that our marriage would be interesting, but I had no idea how life-consuming it would become. With my previous background, it became really easy for me to get swept up in doing my husband's life, fitting in, and again, living in the shadows. My plant was green now, but blooming was not happening. 3 years into my marriage, I was able to reconnect with my spiritual mentor from college. And his first question surprised me. It was very pointed. What happened to your joy? I had made the choice to fit in. And my power and my joy were MIA. I spent the next 34 years living the lives of those around me. We had 9 children. We began and lost, unfortunately, a business. We ran for county commissioner twice and for governor of the state of Colorado. My husband also had a battle with multiple myeloma, a blood cancer. I was very busy, again, supporting the lives of those around me. That plant with leaves had never bloomed. It had tried a few times, but any energy that it needed to bloom had gone to others. Do you see the pattern here? Strangely, I did not, but the time was coming when I would. As life seasons changed, so did those around me. And after 13 years of concentrated caretaking for my mother, in 2015, she passed away. In 2018, my husband lost his life to the cancer that he had been fighting, and my last child moved out of the house. I had no more lives to support. I was left with me, just me. That plant with leaves that had never bloomed was just standing there in the middle of the field all by itself. Believe it or not, this was really scary for me. So I chose to keep busy so I didn't have to deal with those scary feelings. During COVID, I was forced to stop. The business that I had become involved in ground to a halt. In the quiet, God began to show me this lifelong pattern that I had been living. He gently asked me if I wanted to continue. It took me almost a month to process my answer, which was no. I desperately wanted to bloom. I chose to step into the light, to be seen for who I was. It's amazing how others can actually sense when we make changes in our lives. A few months after my decision, my oldest son said to me, "Mama, I don't think I've ever seen you this happy." I had finally found my joy again. As I continue to step into that light and find my passions, my life is literally exploding. 2 weeks ago, I confronted the last, I hope, of the areas in my life where I was doing someone else's dreams. Since then, I have booked multiple speaking engagements, one interview for a podcast, and others are in the wings. If I've learned anything in this journey, it's that being invisible is overrated. With the help of my therapist and friends, I am able to choose to bloom and begin to look like this beautiful arrangement. Where in your life can you begin to bloom and smell like heaven on earth? Choose to bloom now. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.